So whether it's sales or marketing has brought in a lead, you are ready to jump onto that first discovery call, first time talking to the person. And so many times salespeople get it wrong, can't do the follow-up, don't ask the right questions, and then they wonder why their pipeline is not converting and they're losing opportunities. And then they end up getting fired from their job and looking for a new one. That happens every single day. In this video, I'm going to go through the tips of hundreds and thousands of discovery calls that I've been through and ways that I've trained other sales teams to go through their discovery calls to be effective, direct, and close more deals. The first thing you're going to want to look at is what I call the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, they should be talking. So they've come onto the discovery call, whether they filled out a form and came onto the website or you reached out to them. The intro part of it, I typically try and skip the whole where are you at, what's the weather like, etc., etc. It depends on the vibe of the call and it depends on the person and what we're trying to go after. But most people don't really care about that. They want to get directly down to the point because this is a process of them understanding more about you, you understanding more about them. So from an 80-20 rule standpoint, most of the time, the people on the other side of the call are expecting to come in and have you pitch your products or your services to them. And what we want to do is flip that. We want them talking 80% of the time because we're going to go through a very strict and diligent fact-finding process. We need to ask as many questions as possible. We want to understand the pain point, not only understand the pain point, like why did you book this call? What's the thing that's keeping you up at night? Why did you respond to my message? What types of things are you going on? Not only like the pain point, but take it even deeper as to what does that pain point represent? If I could solve this problem for you, what would that mean for your business, for your company, for your department? And keep asking follow-up questions as to what is the issue, who's involved in it, what type of ways have they tried to fix it in the past, what hasn't worked, what has worked, what's the timing like with this process that you're going through. So you're asking all of these questions up front. And then once you get your answers, you go into the 20% time. Now, there have been times where I've jumped on discovery calls and I'm trying to follow the 80-20 rule of them talking 80% of the time. And they're like, hey, so we just wanted to understand more about what it is that you do. And then I have to go into a normal pitch. I don't do presentations. I don't share my screen. It's just video call like this, one-to-one. And that's where I'll typically get away with saying like, hey, before I get into what it is that we do, I mean, we do a wide range of things and I give like a 30-second high level. What I want to understand is what issues are you solving so that we can make this discovery call as effective and efficient as possible to get right down to the root cause. And I can see if it's a potential fit and if we have a solution for you. So the first step, get them to talk more than you. If you use the show up and throw up method, you will fail. The second step is qualification. You are trying to qualify them as much as they are trying to qualify you. They booked a call with you because they're like, hey, I think that maybe these guys can solve my problem, but let me see what they have to say. And they're going to qualify you in the process. Meanwhile, the whole time you need to be focused on qualifying them that they're a right fit for your service or for your product. It's not just about receiving the call and then saying, hey, I want to get you through as fast as possible to push this product onto you, because that's where you can lose a lot of momentum. That's where you can lose a lot of deals. You have to go through and qualify it. Are they the right fit? Going back to the 80-20 rule of fact finding, that's why this is so important, because once you get into the qualification phase, now you can, it's qualification and solution selling. Now you can get into, okay, based on what you said and these problems that you guys are having, or this current way that you're set up, or this current thing that you're trying to do, a goal that you have, etc., then my solution would be to do this. And it can't just be, yeah, I think you should buy our sledgehammer because it's going to be able to break whatever it is that you're trying to break. It's like, based on what you said, I think that you've got maybe one or two options here. Option one would be like this. Option two would be like that. What are your thoughts behind that? And then you can go a little bit deeper, but still stick to the 80-20 rule. You don't want it to turn into a demo or a sales presentation or a pitch. You just want to focus specifically on their pain points and providing them with a solution to that problem. The third step is going to be the timeline. You want to understand what is the timeline behind them making the decision. If you don't ask the timeline, then you can't possibly follow the rest of the steps in the process, because you're going to go into it and the first thing your boss is going to say is, hey, when are they looking to make a decision? If you're like, I don't know, then you did not ask the right questions. So you have to part of the fact finding, or at least at the end of the conversation, you need to be able to say, hey, look, based on what you said and the solution that I offered, If we can get this solved for you, what's a realistic timeline that you guys are trying to make a decision? And ask them about their process. What is the process that you guys are going through? Oh, we're talking to 5 other companies. I've got to get 3 other bids. We've got a demo call with this company next week, et cetera, et cetera. So what's a timeline? Is this something that you're looking to implement or fix today? Is it this month, this week, this quarter, not until next year? What phase are you at in the process? Are you still in planning phase? So offering up those things to understand the timeline will then set up the rest of the activities for you to work that deal through. If you don't ask the question and you don't know if they're looking to make a decision by the end of the week, then maybe you're going to be like, hey, I'll get that proposal over to you next week. And they're like, oh, okay, well, next week I'm going to already have my decision made. So you want to understand the steps of the process. You want to understand the timeline so you can react and respond accordingly and set up your expectations and set up the deliverables that you need to get to them that meet that timeline standard. And the last thing is going to be setting up the follow-up. After you go through the timeline, now you can set up the follow-up. And if you want more about learning how to follow up, you can check this video right here where I go through the steps of how to follow up. But in this follow-up process, you're setting up to where, hey, Steve, so run through the solution. My tasks from this call are going to be, I'm going to provide you with these case studies or provide you with access to this thing or give you a 7-day free trial or do a proposal for you within 5 days. And then from there, I want to set up the next conversation that we have. So what makes most sense to you? Should we wait a week after you get that point, or should we wait 2 weeks? Trying to nail them down so that way when you are following up, there's no like confusion as to like, why are you following up so quick? So if they're like, oh yeah, let's reconnect in 2 weeks. Well, let's try and get it on the calendar right now. That's what you want to try and do, is book your next appointment when you're in the first meeting. If you have fear that they're going to be a little bit ghosty, that's the best way to do it. They may respond and say, yeah, just shoot me an email and we'll get back to you. Okay, so I'm going to get this thing done. Here's my task. And then in this amount of time, I'm going to shoot you an email and follow up. And is it okay if I get your cell phone number or I have your cell phone number? Is it okay if I shoot you a text if we don't connect that way? Is email the best way to get a hold of you? Should I send you a LinkedIn message? Should I send you a text message? Should I give you a call? You want to set that follow-up technique early so that way they understand, like, hey, if you email them, they told you that that's the best way to get a hold of them. A lot of people say, yeah, just email me, and that's like a brush off. But if you did your process of the 80-20 and the qualification and setting the timeline, and they're bought in and they want to see the next step of the process from you, there's a high likelihood that they will at least make it to that next step to review the solution, review the demo, go on the next call with you. And so setting it up now to understand what method you want me to communicate and when should they expect to hear from you, and tell them, look, I'm not going to be pushy, but I want to make sure that you guys get this problem solved. So if I follow up a couple times, don't be offended by it. And they're usually going to say, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Don't worry. If I don't respond, then definitely hit me up. I've got a lot of emails coming through, et cetera, et cetera. But you're setting up your follow-up methods in this first meeting, in the discovery call, setting the timeline and expectations, and then working the process through there. So if you are seeing a decrease in deals converted, then if you follow these 4 steps and implement them today, this is what's going to get you to the next point to be able to convert more deals. You got to follow the process of 80-20 rule, then you go into the qualification phase, then timeline, and then setting up your follow-up. And then just track it, see what's working and what isn't. Track all your calls. You should go through and record everything and rewatch it so that way you can be better. And if you guys got value out of this content, share it with somebody that you know. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you on the next one.